What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. I wanted to make a quick sort of impromptu video about the dormancy habits of Venus flytraps. Now, with Venus flytraps, a lot of people get super concerned because they're one of those carnivorous plants that when they hit dormancy, they make a lot of changes. And so if you're a new grower, that can really be concerning. And so what I want to do in this video is dispel some of those concerns for you and just talk you through what you can expect and what you should see here in about November. Now, it's going to be different depending on your location and how cold it is, your light levels, and so let's talk through that. Now, Venus flytraps are a temperate carnivorous plant, and so they are going to want dormancy. And the cool thing about Venus flytraps is they will actually change the way that they looked and even act depending on what time of year it is. Now, with this Venus flytrap, you'll see they have some taller traps, and those are known as summer traps or spring traps. The spring traps usually come in during spring, and the summer ones are a little bit longer, and then they'll come in, and as you can see, they can last all the way into fall and longer. Now, there's a different trap that they get, and that is their winter traps, and that is what this little rosette looks like here. Now, it's important to note that not all Venus flytraps react the same way. Now, all these here in front of you are were rescues from like big box stores at Lowe's, and so they're going to be all different tissue cultures of different Venus flytraps. The reason why I'm telling you that is they're all in the same element, they're all dealing with the same temperatures, the same sun, everything is exactly the same, but as you can see, some are keeping their summer traps significantly longer than some that have decided to go into that winter traps or that rosetted form. And this is perfectly okay. Each of these plants, depending on where they came from, tissue culture, are going to act differently. Now, while there's only one Venus flytrap type actual in the wild, they have been bred and crossbred, and so all of them have taken on different genetic traits. And even in the typicals, you're going to see these genetic traits that are going to be different. Like you'll notice some of them are very, very red, while some of them remained very like a light orange to yellow, and then some are very much just a green yellow. And that is all based on that genetic variability through crossbreeding. Now, a lot of people start to freak out. Let's talk through what actually happens first stage all the way to end stage. So the very first thing you're going to start to notice is a lot of those spring traps, or summer traps, are going to start to turn black on you. And you'll see here, and they'll start from the trap and they'll work their way down. And that can be very alarming for people, and people will think, oh no, I've done something wrong, like there's some sort of crown rot or something's going on. That is completely normal. As a matter of fact, that's normal throughout the entire life cycle of a Venus flytrap. They are going to have what's called a high leaf turnover ratio. It takes a lot of energy to keep these traps going, and so if the leaf of the plant rather doesn't need the nutrients, or it's gotten what it needs, it's going to kill off that leaf, and so that it doesn't have to keep supplying so much energy to it. Now, once it hits dormancy and it starts going through this little cycle change, which is there's about 3 of them in the year of a Venus flytrap, it's going to kill them off in mass. And so you'll start to see them all dying off. Here's a perfect example of that. You can see all the long ones, those are their spring or summer traps, and they're all dying off. And in its place has grown all of these rosetted traps, or low to the ground winter traps. Now, that's the first stage you're going to see. You're going to start to see that die off, and it's going to be replaced. The second stage is that replacement. As you look at this one right here, this is a DCXL. You can see that it is fully in that rosetted stage, and so it has already gotten rid of all of its winter traps. One thing you can do, by the way, just a helpful tip, is go ahead and pull all these dead traps off, and that'll help keep fungus at bay. So that's the second stage. You're going to sort of get this winter trap. The other thing you're going to notice is that your Venus flytraps are going to slow down. And depending on how cold it is, or how much sunlight rather, is probably a bigger indicator for this particular thing. Your Venus flytraps aren't going to be as fast as they are when they have a lot of light and they have all that energy. And so they're going to be a little bit slower when they close. See how lethargic that is closing? Now, normally that would be indicative of a unhealthy plant. But this time of year, a lot of these low growing rosetted traps are simply there just to help gather a little bit of sunlight to help give that rhizome energy throughout the winter. Now, they can catch some ground dwelling prey, but for the most part, they're gonna just kind of be there. And so don't get alarmed if you start to see them get lethargic. Now, if you are in a very cold environment, you can expect almost a complete dieback of the leaves. And so don't freak out if that happens if you're in a much colder environment, because I'm in Florida. This is about as far back as they're going to get. They might get a little bit worse come January, but for the most part, this is what you're going to get. And they will stay this way for quite some time until spring comes and the temperatures warm up and the light starts to come back out for longer periods of the day. And then they will take all that stored energy and burst forward with a bunch of new spring trap growth. So not one size fits all when it comes to Venus flytraps in pretty much any part of their journey, but especially in their dormancy period. Now, when it comes to watering, just a helpful tip here, you'll notice here that they are not sitting in any water. Now, if you're in a very, very cold environment, you can have them sitting in water, and that will help protect the rhizome from freezing. But because I'm here in Florida, I have no worry of that. The point is you want to keep the soil moist still, but I don't want to keep it terribly wet because there isn't a lot of sunshine to help cook off that water, and I don't want those rhizomes sort of sitting and rotting. So you got to look at the zones that you're in and make sure that you're giving it the kind of care that it needs. And so during the summer, you're going to want them to be sitting in water, obviously. During the winter, you can have them get a little bit drier, still keep the soil moist, don't let the soil dry out, and they will be just fine. I hope this video has helped maybe dispel some concerns, some ill rumors that you might have heard. These are amazing plants. If you haven't yet started collecting them, I highly recommend them. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Today I thought I'd make a quick video. It has been a while since I posted anything, but I thought I'd make a quick video and maybe help some of those new growers out who are worried about the state of their carnivorous plants this time of year. So we're about a quarter to halfway through November, and you'll start to notice, or probably have noticed already, that your carnivorous plants are starting to change. And so what I have directly in front of me here is a weed, first off, but the Flytraps. And now this one I believe is California Sunset or Dreamsicle, one of those. But as you can see, if you're a new grower, this would be freaking you out, right? Because for all intents and purposes, this plant looks dead, especially when you have some others like Banana that are still growing. This in front of me is Longifolia, a different type of what's called a Utricularia carnivorous plant. But so not all carnivorous plants go dormant. The ones that do are called intermediate, and the two here, the Flytraps and the Banana, are in fact intermediate and will go dormant. However, what I want to do is help you through some sort of fears that you might have. Now, Flytraps will tend to go dormant sooner than a Banana and some other types of intermediate carnivorous plants. And what they'll do is they'll go, and it can happen pretty quickly depending on the amount of light that you have and or how the weather as far as temperature drops. And the leaves will die off very quickly. But before that starts to happen, you'll notice a little nub in the center of them that will start to grow. And let me see if I can find one of those to show you. So I knew I had one over here that I could show you. This one is a little Floridana. This is a baby. This is a Filiformis that has not gone dormant yet. But you'll notice right there in the center is this little fuzzy ball that's starting to grow. That is called a Hibernacula. And that Hibernacula is what's going to hold all the energy in. And pretty soon, as temperatures continue to drop, these leaves will die off. And what you'll have left is either a bunch of brown dead leaves, and underneath that will be that Hibernacula, or you'll get rid of all the leaves and you'll have just that little bud there. Have no fear, that is perfectly natural and what you want to see, and that means that your plant is simply going dormant for the winter. Now, if you look here, you'll notice you don't see any of those fuzzy Hibernacula here. And that's not always going to be the case, right? Some of them, the Hibernacula looks like almost like little dried pine cones that haven't opened all the way, and I'll show you some right here. As you see here, those little things are Hibernacula, and they're storing all that energy underneath all this dead brown foliage here. And when the temperature starts to warm up in spring, that energy will be released and it'll start putting forth a ton of new growth. And as you can see, because I'm in Florida and we don't have very, very strong winters, it is 98% dormant, but there's still a little bit of life here and there. Now we will get down in the 20s, maybe once or twice, and maybe even the 30s a few times. So I fully suspect that this will completely go brown, but this is not dead. Now, what should you do if it looks like this? You can go ahead. So sorry about that. I had to take a brief pause. So what should you do if your plant looks like this? Now, there's not a whole lot that you need to do. I could go through and remove all this dead foliage if I would like, and have it just be the Hibernacula, but I'm actually going to keep it there because it will help sort of insulate those Hibernacula and help keep them safe against cold weather. Now, there is a caveat to that, is they also want airflow, and so that can in fact hurt it sometimes if it's too wet. But when you have the cooler conditions, you want to reduce the amount of water that they're getting, that they're sitting in, then that will also keep it from getting any sort of rot to it. Also, bottom watering and not top watering will help with that tremendously. Now, the way that you'll know that these Hibernacula are good is when you touch them, they'll be very firm, and that lets you know that they're good. If they're soft, there's a good chance that they have rotted on you. Now, some of the larger bundles will have multiple Hibernacula, and that means that there are going to be multiple growth points. And in spring, you can divide those up if you would like to have multiple different plants. Or you can keep them together like this, and all this pot, for the most part, other than the sides, will be completely full. Now let's talk about watering. When you water them, you want to keep them still sitting in water, distilled reverse osmosis and or rainwater, but you don't have to keep the water level as high. Now, if you are going to experience some very, very cold, it could be a good idea to keep it a little higher water levels, because most of your rot is going to come from freezing on the side of the pot. But for the most part, you don't want them sitting in deep water for long periods of time. Just have them in a good amount of water to keep the soil moist, maybe about an inch or two. And other thing to note is not all your plants are going to go dormant at the same time, and that's okay. Bonatas will tend to hang on longer, and if you're living in Florida like I do, they may not go dormant at all. They tend to do better with skipping dormancy than other intermediate plants. Well, I hope that this has helped maybe assuage some of those concerns that your Filiformis is not dead, but in fact just going dormant for the winter, and this is following that life cycle that it has evolved to do. I hope that you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.